Hey guys, I wanted to have a talk with you very briefly about something that I've been pondering, right? So just the other day when I did the Double D's podcast, a viewer sent in a question, I believe it was Jamtastic, had sent in a question about interests that we have that people may not know about. And my answer to that was walking, simply walking. And I was thinking about that just now, and I want to talk to you guys about the importance of patience. And when I say patience, I mean patience in just about any area of your life, whether it's with family, whether it's with your career, whether it's with friends, whether it's with a lover. Patience is the key to a lot of things. I believe what's helped me, as far as just, a person's upbringing and, how that can affect their threshold for punishment, for wear and tear. I think over the last few years, what's helped me is certain occupations that I've had. For example, about 4 years ago, I had a job in Staten Island. I was living in Staten Island, and I found a job. I'm not even sure the title that I can give this occupation, though later it basically turned into a mailroom position because I wasn't good at the job, so they transferred me over to another department within the company. So this first job had something to do with decoding bad checks. So I was sitting at a computer all day and I was just marking off checks, and there were these different categories that each check had. And it was this meticulous, very detailed process that I really wasn't good at. And, just to give you an idea of this, this particular department within the company, it was me and about 7 or 8 other women. I've always thought that women have this attention to detail that most men don't have. And I think the men that actually do have this attention to detail normally turn out to be serial killers, but that's another podcast. So within this company, it was about, I would say, 45 minutes away from me where I was living at in Staten Island. I was living out in New Dorp, Staten Island, not that any of you know where that is. And I can't remember the area in which this job was at. But in order to get to this job, I had to take a bus for half an hour to then get to the bus depot at the Staten Island Ferry, which was pretty much the mothership for all transportation in Staten Island, and of course still is, to then take a bus 45 minutes to get to the job. Now, let me correct myself. It was actually about an hour and 15 minutes to get to the job, not 45 minutes. So I was at this job for about a couple months until my circumstances changed and I ended up moving to the Bronx. Now, those of you that don't live in New York City, Staten Island is one of the boroughs of New York City. And so is the Bronx. Along with that is Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Queens, the 5 boroughs, right? The Bronx and Staten Island are not near each other at all. So you kind of know where I'm going with this. In order to get to this job from my new place in the Bronx, and I lived around the Grand Concourse area, which isn't far from Yankee Stadium. So I had to take the D train on to Bowling Green. I had to transfer to Bowling Green, which is where the Staten Island Ferry is. To take the Staten Island Ferry, which is automatically 30 minutes, to then get to that bus depot, to take that bus 45 minutes to get to that job. So the train ride from the Bronx to Bowling Green was about an hour. Staten Island Ferry, half an hour. And the 45-minute bus. So you're looking at about a 2-hour commute every day. You know, so I had to get up at, say, maybe 5, 6 in the morning. I can't remember. This job didn't pay well. This job had no promise of growth. It was just something I was doing at the time. At this point in my life, I would never put myself through a situation like that. For many reasons. But again, that's another podcast. Through those commutes, I never got a sense of frustration. Getting up that early and dealing with people through the wee hours of the morning. And, you know, some people who were drunk from partying the night before, you know, still sleeping on the train, and dealing with them on the ferry, and dealing with, you know, just New Yorkers and their crazy neurotic attitudes at all times of the morning. At no point did I have frustration, because there was no other way to get to the job. There was no point in me being frustrated, because frustration wasn't going to help me get to the job any quicker. So what I simply did is what I tend to do so many times in my life is I enjoy the process of getting somewhere. Now, by enjoy, I don't mean I was smiling ear to ear. I don't mean that I was in this joyous fucking state of euphoria. I just maintained reading the newspaper, listening to my MP3 player, and just going with the flow. That experience strengthened my patience. And I think it's trickled onto many aspects of my life. Now, let's not confuse this. I'm not saying that you should have this endless tolerance for anything in life, and that you should have to endure bad relationships. You should have to endure, you know, just bad dynamics as far as just anything in your life. Everybody has a limit. But what I'm saying is, if you remain with the right attitude, if you keep the right attitude through the resistance, you'll know if it's time to change something. You'll know if it's time to press eject. It's something that, you know, your mind's going to develop that intuition. Now, the job that I have at this moment, as most of you know, I sell fucking proteins and vitamins and shit. It's about 20 minutes away from where I live. Now, what I like to do now is I like to walk to work when I get the chance, but every day from work to home. Always walk. Now, it's a 20-minute walk. It's not a big deal by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm often amazed at how sometimes when I go into the city in Manhattan and I ask people for directions, and when people point you towards a general direction, they'll say, okay, West 4th is this way. Notice how I said 4th. It's a New York habit, or it's a D.Respect habit to never say the TH in 4th. Always 4th with an F. So they point you in this general direction, and they say, whoa, that's about 10 minutes that way. Maybe it's because they live in a city where transportation works so well that it makes them lazy, or maybe they're just lazy people, period. But it always amazes me how a 10-minute walk is it's a fucking journey through the desert for most people. And 10 minutes is a blink of an eye for me. So I find that through walking, through commuting, even for things that have no promise, even for things that aren't coveted, for things that are just merely stages in my life, in your life. The transition to get to these places, the way in which you behave, the manner in which you carry yourself is what you gain out of that entire experience. So I don't know if walking has become an interest to me, or if it's, if it's something that it's grown on me because I know that it's necessary because of, just the way that I'm wired. There could be certain things in your life that are interests at one level, and at a more subconscious level, it's something that feeds the person who you are. You know what I'm saying? I know somebody out there understands exactly what I mean, and hopefully, multiple people do. But it's just a thought that I'm having, and patience, man. Patience, and enjoy the process of everything, guys. That's the most important thing that I think I'm learning right now at this period of my life. Just enjoying the process of everything absolves you from the necessity of hugging on to the destination, from hugging on to the end game of anything. The end game is something that you look forward to it. But you learn that with pretty much anything in life, what you gain from things isn't the destination. It's the things that you pick up along the way and the manner in which you behave. Good day.